News 46 is brought to you by Inspiration Senior Living, where we provide affordable elegance to Pahrump area seniors. Give us a call at 751-2300 and make an appointment to tour our community. News is also brought to you by Dr. George Leeks, Pahrump's optometrist since 1990, offering full spectrum eye care for children and adults. Call today, 727-8300. News is also brought to you by J.K. Nelson Law. Call 727-9900 today for your free consultation. If you need a lawyer, you need Nelson.
Tonight on News 46, a home is saved from destruction on wood chips.
An intoxicated driver crashes through a fence.
And a local business is supporting at-risk youth. News 46 starts now.
You're watching KPVM News 46 with Deanna O'Donnell. News 46, local coverage you can count on.
Good evening. It's Monday, July 20th, 2015. I'm Deanna O'Donnell.
And I'm Courtney Solman with News 46.
A family is devastated after losing 3 vehicles, an RV, garage, and several outbuildings last night on wood chips. Luckily, firefighters were able to save their home. We caught up with Fire Chief Scott Lewis about the blaze.
Late yesterday evening, we were dispatched a report of an explosion and resulting fire. While it was immediately unknown exactly what was burning, when we were en route, then it was thought to be a structure, so it was upgraded as such. Upon arrival of our first 2 medic unit, which happened to be coming from Desert View Hospital, they found a well-involved detached garage, 2-vehicle garage, with additional accessory structures used for storage. And as you can see behind us, the garage was occupied with 2 vehicles, a lot of personal property. There was another vehicle closely placed to that structure, including a travel trailer to the rear. So had a well-involved fire involving numerous exposures. It was also in close proximity to the primary dwelling, which is a double-wide manufactured. That was also steaming off. When the LT and his crew arrived on location, they commenced a primary search on the inside, make sure all the occupants were out. They then checked for extension and found that the fire had in fact extended underneath the structure. They had access through the underside, extinguished any visible fire on there, and then took care of the remainder out in the yard.
Initially, they said that 2 people had got out, but they thought another person was down.
There's actually a number of people that live in this particular house, but there was several people that were pulled out. It's my understanding a neighbor had assisted them in getting out of the structure. We had 2 that were injured. One had smoke inhalation and one was shaken up. Both were evaluated. One was transported from the scene.
And the trailer that's in the back, was that occupied?
It was not. It was just a travel trailer that was placed there and I guess used infrequently.
Animal control was also called?
There was a number of animals that were on the property. They were safely removed, including an exotic bird and several canines.
And so can you tell me, there was ammunition or was the explosions happening from the vehicles?
You know, it was a combination of many things. You had exploding tires, you had vessels that were stored in there, there was propane stored in the attached garage, and in addition to that, there was ammunition. So the firefighters were faced with all those elements that were ongoing throughout the incident.
What is that like for the firefighters? Because it seemed like a very dangerous situation, a very hot fire.
The key to it is making sure you have a safety area established, but get water on the fire quick, knock down all the heat. Once they were able to do that, they were able to cool down the vessels. That took that out of the equation. And then in addition to the ammunition, just get the fire under control, which they did in short order.
The main structure here, is it livable at this point?
It is. They're actually both residing in the house today. They had an electrician come out and clear the underside to make sure there was no damaged wiring under there. And the Valley Electric Group has since come out and restored power to the property.
What do you think the cause of the fire is at this point?
It appears to be an accidental fire that originated in the garage. We're looking at it specifically in the area of a workbench where some activity had been going earlier in the day. But at this point, because of the extent of destruction and the damage within that particular area, it most likely be undetermined at this point.
One female was taken into custody for driving under the influence after crashing into the Floyd family's automatic gate Saturday night.
The female involved in this accident on Betty Avenue and Dove Street apparently was involved in a domestic dispute earlier in the evening and sustained injuries as a result. However, later on the evening, she was arrested after she crashed through a fence on Dove Street and Betty, going through what is being called an automatic fence and going down the driveway of this home and back through the other part of the fence. Her vehicle traveled down the highway and ended up into a wood pile at the end of the property. She was not injured as a result. However, her car did sustain major damage. The woman, who appeared to have been dressed provocatively, had had a busy evening, including being taken to the Nye County Sheriff's Department and booked for DUI. This is Deanna O'Donnell for News 46.
And Nevada Highway Patrol has sent a release regarding Sunday morning's fatal accident that closed Blue Diamond Highway in Las Vegas for hours during the investigation. At approximately 10:01, a silver Pontiac Bonneville was traveling westbound on State Route Highway 160 and crashed head-on into a white Ford Focus, which was traveling eastbound. The cause of the crash appears to be when the Pontiac passed slower vehicles and crashed head-on into the Ford Focus. The 24-year-old female driver of the Pontiac sustained serious injuries and was transported to UMC Trauma Center. The 16-year-old driver of the Ford sustained minor injuries and was also transported. The right front seat male passenger of the Ford was identified as 61-year-old Patrick Denley from Henderson. Denley succumbed to his injuries sustained in the crash and was pronounced deceased at the scene.
And we'll be right back with your Desert View Hospital health tip.
This portion of the news is brought to you by Inspiration Senior Living, where we provide affordable elegance to Pahrump area seniors. Give us a call at 751-2300 and make an appointment to tour our community.
An increasing number of pregnant women are undergoing non-invasive prenatal testing to help identify fetal genetic abnormalities. This is done using a blood test that looks at both the DNA of the mother and the fetus. In a small percentage of these tests, the results appear abnormal, but the baby's genetics are actually normal. A new study examined if the rare diagnosis of maternal cancer could be one cause of such discrepancies.
This health tip is brought to you by
Desert View Hospital and Mountain Valley Physicians Group. Don't put your health on hold. We have time for you. Call us to schedule your appointment. 775-751-7100.
This increasingly common blood test can help detect whether a woman is carrying a fetus with a genetic abnormality.
The test analyzes not only the DNA fragments from the fetus and the placenta, but it analyzes DNA fragments from the mother herself.
For every 1,000 women tested, about 2 will have an abnormal result. It's recommended those women have additional diagnostic testing looking at only the fetal DNA.
In a small minority of women, the test showed that the fetal chromosomes were normal, and that disagreed with the blood test. We were examining whether cancer could explain the discrepancy between these two test results.
Dr. Diana W. Bianchi from Tufts Medical Center and co-authors examined more than 125,000 non-invasive prenatal test results done over a 2-year period. 3,757 women had abnormal test results. 10 of those women were subsequently diagnosed with cancer.
If she does have cancer, there's the possibility that she is shedding DNA from these tumors into her blood.
Medical records and additional genetic information were examined in 8 of those women to look for patterns suggestive of an underlying cancer.
In the women with cancer, there is a characteristic pattern of imbalance of the genetic information. There's a very rare situation in which the mother has cancer. Cancer DNA can cause a discrepancy between the prenatal fetal genetic screening test and the fetal chromosome test.
All 10 women diagnosed with cancer delivered healthy babies.
Even though the test was not designed to detect cancer, cancer is an incidental finding. If you recognize the proper signatures, then you can go on and have further care.
Catherine Dolph, The JAMA Report.
This was a preliminary study. There's currently no clear guidance about follow-up testing when discrepancies are found. Further research is needed.
A rare summer storm helped firefighters advance Saturday on a wildfire that swept across a California interstate, torching vehicles and sending people running for their lives before burning property in a desert town. The fire in the Cajon Pass, which is the main route connecting Los Angeles to Las Vegas, caused the road to be closed for hours. Vehicles exploded on the freeway. Drivers abandoned their cars where they stood. Firefighting helicopter pilots couldn't make a water drop on the fire scene for almost 20 minutes, which is an entire drop cycle because of hobby drones flying over the area to film the fire. Pilots say they can't risk a collision with the helicopter and the drones, which could result in a loss of life. As firefighters gained control of the freeway, the flames spread to the rural community of Balde Mesa, destroying 3 homes and 44 vehicles and forcing residents in that area to flee. At its height, the fire threatened about 700 structures in the area. Amazingly, only 2 people were injured.
Heavy rains and flooding washed out parts of Interstate 10 in Southern California, shutting down traffic in both directions. Floodwaters cut through a large gully through the eastbound side, while the ground under the westbound lanes was completely undermined. The California Highway Patrol said the I-10 closure will be long-term. The washout is located near Desert Center, about 170 miles east of Los Angeles and about 50 miles from the Arizona border.
And police responded to a reported medical issue that resulted in a crash on Basin Avenue this morning.
Nye County Sheriff's deputies responded to a driver who was allegedly driving down the wrong side of the street this morning on Basin Avenue next to the sheriff's office. The man reportedly shortly after crashed his car into a ditch on Basin Avenue. Deputies arrived on scene and were able to ascertain that the man was having some type of what they're calling a medical issue at the time of the accident. He was uninjured as a result of this accident. However, he was unresponsive. Medics arrived on scene and were able to transport him to Desert View Hospital. No other cars were involved in this accident, and the vehicle appears to be in running order. This is Deanna O'Donnell for News 46.
A local business is hoping to get more families involved in an organization that will help at-risk youth.
I represent for Pahrump, Amargosa, Beatty, Tonopah, an organization called Real Talk. The premise of the program is to provide prevention and intervention to at-risk youth through mentorship programs and remove financial barriers by allocating funds for extracurricular activities to the youth in the community. The program was started by a Miss Cherie Cornell, a former federal probation officer, and the program itself is led by ex-felons that have vested interest in seeing the at-risk youths break through societal barriers and become productive members of society instead of becoming statistics of the judicial system. Through the program, the child and the parent are required to attend 1 meeting a month for a period of 3 months, as well as maintain a 2.0 GPA. Through the participation of this program, the child will receive the opportunity to participate in an extracurricular activity of their choice, paid for by Real Talk up to $150 per month, as well as gain valuable learning opportunities that focus on the LEARN philosophy: lead, educate, aspire, respect, and new beginnings. Our intent is to educate the youth by sparking a change in themselves to help mold them into leaders of tomorrow. This program has the availability to not only influence the youth in a positive manner, but also to provide the financial opportunity to become involved in social activities that we believe support lasting change in youths by removing the financial barrier. So essentially, it helps the youths, the family, as well as the community on many levels. Our personal investment from Java Junkies here is providing transportation to the meetings, and if we get a big enough draw from our community, the Real Talk is interested in bringing their meetings here. All we're asking from the community is to support the effort by spreading the word and referring interested families to us at no cost to them.
Kids who need to get involved, or families that see that there's a need for those youth to get involved, how can they contact you? Through the Facebook page too?
You can contact us through Facebook page, which is Java Junkies NV. You can learn more about the organization at Real Talk NV on Facebook. If you have any questions, you can feel free to call me anytime, 775-419-3125.
You also take donations, right?
We do take donations. This is a nonprofit. So currently all I'm really asking for is support from the community. So if you know somebody who's interested in the program, families and kids, just refer them to us at no cost to you. Fundraising is something I'll probably do in afterwards, but right now I just want to get enough community support, because if I can do that, then Real Talk will actually bring their meetings here, so I will no longer have to transport people all the way to Las Vegas.
When News 46 returns, we'll tell you about a plane crash that happened over the weekend.